And the third thing we learned in the first verse, Bhagavad Gita comes down in a certain order. And that's where the next verse picks up. Evang parampara praptam imang rajarshayo vidu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Now Krishna says, this supreme science, so not only is Bhagavad Gita a science, it's the supreme science. So if there are any doctors, or if you have a doctor, don't be offended. Okay? Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita is the supreme of all sciences. Why? Because it's dealing with you and God. There's nothing higher than you and God. Everything else is relative. So this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession. The Sanskrit word Krishna used, parampara. As he said, the Son God gave it to his Son, who gave it to his Son. So it was passed down like that. So Krishna says this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. Yes, it makes sense. In ancient times, the king was the chief person, and by the king being instructed in the principles of Bhagavad Gita, would rule with intelligence. This is the problem we have all over the world. We have leaders all over the world, no brains, cuckoo. They talk cuckoo, and whatever they propose is nuts. I'm not mentioning any names, okay? All over the world we see this. They have no, in Vedic times, the kings were not arrogant. They would take advice from a court of brahmanas. What was back then a brahmana meant somebody who had real good knowledge and who practiced the knowledge. He wasn't a hypocrite or a phony. The Brahmin had actual Vedic knowledge, lived by it, and as service, he would guide the king. The king would take, we see this in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana. We see how King Dasarath took advice from his gurus, from the Brahmins. Yudhishthira, when he was in the forest for 13 years, was getting advice from the rishis and sadhus in the forest, advising him. He had his priest with him, Daumya, Yudhishthira, when they were in the forest. So the saintly kings, they took advice, consultation from saintly persons who had good knowledge. Now Krishna says, but in the course of time, the succession was broken, meaning somebody failed to repeat the message, or somebody changed it. That is the problem. When you change the message, just like I go to the doctor every 4 months, he fills out my prescriptions. I go to the pharmacy is to write the prescriptions according to what the doctor has written on the sheet. We don't want the pharmacist to change it, because if he does, I could die. So in the same way, the message of Bhagavad Gita, you don't tinker with it, you don't change it, you repeat it. Same way, I am disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. My job is to repeat his message. I can't change it. My job is to repeat his message. As long as I do that, I'm a good boy. But if I start to change it or alter it, no. Just like another way, the seat I am sitting on, because I'm speaking on the Vedas, this is called a Vyasasana. The Vyasasana means all our Vedic teachings comes through Vyas. We worship Vyas once a year on Guru Purnima in the summertime. Guru Purnima, start of the Chaturmasya, 4 months period, that full moon day. Because anyone who's sitting on this elevated seat has to present Vyasadev's presentation. He has to repeat Vyasadev's conclusion. Otherwise, he's not fit. Not fit. You have to repeat Vyasadev's message. Either it's Srimad Bhagavatam, his last masterpiece, or any of the Puranas. If somebody is sitting and speaking, they have to represent Vyasadev's, what is called Siddhanta, his knowledge conclusion. So here Krishna is saying, 5,000 years ago on the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna told Arjuna, at this time, this chain of disciplic succession has been broken. And therefore the science as it is, the science as it is. Prabhupada, when he did his translation and commentary on Bhagavad Gita, insisted the title be Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because Prabhupada, coming to America, saw that there were many editions of Bhagavad Gita, but the translator, the commentary, was giving his own interpretation. No. Prabhupada said, no, I'm going to give you Bhagavad Gita as it is. You may like or may not like. That's not my concern. Same way, the doctor prescribes a medicine I may like or may not like. Too bad. If I want to get cured, I have to take the medicine as it is. And sometimes the medicine you have to take in the evening. And sometimes you have to take with food. There's so many restrictions. When you get each medication, it says, don't do this, don't do this, do this. So, same thing. So, science as it is appears to be lost. That is why Krishna is now restarting the disciplic succession with Arjuna. 5,000 years ago, on the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna could detect that the chain of knowledge had been disturbed. So Krishna was using this opportunity to speak Bhagavad Gita and restart the disciplic succession. Hare Krishna. All right, everybody chant the Maha Mantra.